Todd. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for joining us, folks, on Channel 26 here in Milpitas, where you can tune in 5 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons at 5:30, and Saturday and Sunday mornings at 10, I believe.
Yes.
So, good. I'm getting that down.
You're getting it down.
So, we're glad you joined us. We'd love to talk about Milpitas and what's happening here. And Debbie, would you like to introduce our guest today?
I would. You know, we brought a lot of guests to the show that are the secret ingredient of making Milpitas a great community to live, work, and play. So we've brought in today our police chief, Steve Pangilinan. Did I get that
correct?
Correct?
Correct.
Welcome, Steve. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to the folks out there.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Great.
Yeah, great. We appreciate you joining us. And there's an opportunity for our audience here to get to know a little bit more about you and what our police department is up to, and why Milpitas is such a great place to live. We'll talk, I think, a little bit about some of the crime statistics and about how safe of a community Milpitas is. But why don't you talk about just yourself a little bit about your background, where you grew
Sure.
up, and perhaps how you got into public service.
Sure. So I've been with the police department for 28 years. Came in towards the tail end of 1986. I went to school majoring in criminal justice. Years ago, as a child, it became my passion to go into law enforcement, having been the victim of crime. I was given some very, very good service when I was a kid growing up in the East Bay in the city of Alameda. I was robbed delivering my papers for the Oakland Tribune. They threw me to the ground, took my bike, and when we called the police, I was so impressed with the response. I was so impressed with they were able to actually get my bike back and catch these guys who did it. It kind of stuck in the back of my mind. When I went into high school, I began volunteering for the Alameda Police Department in the Police Explorer post in the late 70s and the early 1980s. And going on ride-alongs, just kind of being entrenched in the culture of that organization. It was within me, it became my passion. So when I went to college, I majored in criminal justice.
Where did you go to school at?
I went to Diablo Valley College and got a liberal arts degree, associate in the arts, and then I matriculated into Mountain State University in West Virginia. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice administration. And education is just kind of my thing. So now, later in my career, of course, I'm back in school over at Golden Gate University. I'm close to completing my master's in public administration.
So we're fortunate to have you here in Milpitas. We're blessed, actually. So,
Thank you.
So how did you land in Milpitas? How did that happen?
Interesting story. So in the Pines neighborhood, my aunt lived on Starlight Drive early when I was a kid. So I'd come into town all the time and visit. And so when I was in college doing an internship with the Pleasanton Police Department, I saw a flyer on the wall that said that Milpitas Police Department was hiring. And I said, oh, perfect time. I was near to completion school. And I said, I'm gonna apply. I know that city. That's where my aunt lived, and I spent a lot of time. So I applied here, and this was the first job offer I had. I had a job offer from here, Alameda County Sheriff's Office, Oakland PD, and LAPD.
Nice.
And this was the first offer that came in, and so for me, it's about a loyalty. They took a chance on me as a 21-year-old kid. I figured this is where I'm going to settle my roots, and this is where I'm going to be.
So you started your career here then as really a beat cop here in Milpitas, and you've had other experiences all the way on up to being now chief. Tell us about some of the other experiences and background that you've had here in Milpitas on the force.
Oh, well, I've done most things that you can do in our department. We are a full-service police department, so we have everything from patrol services to traffic to investigations in different capacities, to a SWAT team, to negotiations teams, all the things, the full range of law enforcement services you will find anywhere we offer here. So I've done most of everything through my police officer days and promoting into the ranks of sergeant and lieutenant and coming up into the management ranks. I've supervised most of those units and oversaw them from a management perspective. So pretty broad base of experience relative to this organization.
Good. Let's talk about the city in general. A lot of people that come to maybe want to purchase a home here, potential buyers, the first thing they want to know is how's the safety of the community, the composite of the general nature of the city. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a very safe community, particularly where we're situated in the county. We have a lot of transient traffic that comes through. When I say transient, I mean people from outlying areas. They'll come up to 680 corridor, come through Milpitas, even if this is not their final destination. And the same thing, coming up the peninsula, going into the East Bay, they'll traverse through town. So you have a lot of folks that come through town. We have the Great Mall. We have BART coming in within the next couple of years, beginning revenue service. So there's going to be a lot of activity in the city. Despite all that, it is a very safe community. We police it very tightly. Our residential burglary rate is well in check, which is of concern to a lot of people, especially our residents. Burglary in general is generally down from year to year.
I understand it's one of the lowest in the areas?
It is. We have very little violent crime. Like any city, you're affected by it on occasion, but most of our crime is just property type crimes. And most of that crime is within the retail environment and not necessarily within the neighborhoods where people are most concerned about.
Well, are there any keys that you found or specific strategies that the force has been effective in terms of implementing to help with keeping the crime rates down and relatively low here?
Yeah, so we always try to promote our Neighborhood Watch program, and that's a key component for residential communities. Mm-hmm. But I think generally speaking, like it's stamped on the side of our cars in partnership with our community, we're very transparent. We're very open. We do a lot of outreach, and we take input constantly. What is of concern to the community? Even if crime is not necessarily a problem, if the perception of crime is a problem, then we have to address
Right.
that. If there's fear of crime, even though it may not be that bad, we have to address that. We have to be very public about how we do it. So I try to take opportunities to go everywhere I'm invited to the extent that I can, do as much outreach as I can, because not only do I get to kind of display the message of the police department and promote what we're doing, but I get input. I get to hear what's really of concern to people. So that's invaluable to me.
Okay, and in times of crisis, of course, you talk about the crime rates and that, but response time is a big key. When
Correct.
folks dial 911 or they need a police officer immediately, I understand that we've got a phenomenal response time.
We do. So for emergency calls, it's the lowest that I'm aware of in our region. We generally get to calls within 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 30 seconds
That's
on
amazing.
any emergency call anywhere in the 13 square miles of the city, 24/7. On less priority calls, generally 5 minutes or less, anywhere in the 13 square miles. So that's kind of built for under two real reasons. And number one is the technology we have in our communications center. The dispatchers answer the phone quickly, and almost real time they're able to get the call to the officers in the field, not only by the radio, but through their car computer.
Okay.
And then the officers are properly situated 24/7 so that they are in a position to be able to respond to wherever they need to go.
Well, we're currently in a building blitz here in Milpitas as well, with new residential housing been built over the last number of years, and we continue to add more residential housing. Is the police force adding additional officers to service that community, or how is that impacting police service to our community?
It's a good question. So we are, in anticipation of the growth, we are adding additional staff. This coming fiscal year, we're going to add 2 additional police officers, which will give us 85 sworn police officers for a current population of about 71,000 people. So that's about 1.2, 1.1 officers per 1,000 residents, which is about what the average is in Santa Clara County. So
Right.
we're on good pace.
Perfect. Chief, let me ask you, a lot of the folks are homeowners out there or currently own their home. What would you recommend to them in terms of safety measures for their own homes?
Thank you for that question. So Neighborhood Watch is the key because it enables you to get to know your neighbors. It enables you to sort of connect and get crime tips from one another, and you get a better sense for what's going on in your neighborhood, who your neighbors are. But alarm systems are key. Proper lighting on the exterior of your home is key. Having your house locked, the side gates locked, the garage doors locked, the front and back doors locked are essential. And what we're really trying to promote is people should invest in camera systems for their home. Because anytime there's an event, whether it's a suspicious person or burglary, that's really, really the best mechanism for us to be able to go after suspects is physical evidence. Having an image, a video or a photo image of the suspect is huge, along with whatever fingerprints we can gather and other items of evidence.
Okay.
Okay, so now dovetailing into that, I've heard that you perhaps have a pilot program or some new things that you're going to be launching in regards to that?
Right, so in the near future, we hope to be able to organize sort of the data that we're collecting from neighborhoods, because as it stands now, we go into neighborhoods on a burglary investigation, and we'll go door to door asking if anybody has any camera footage we can review from the exterior of their homes. And we do that, and oftentimes with great success in capturing images of suspect cars. So we'd like to organize that to some extent, where we can get neighbors and maybe give them recommendations on good camera systems they could consider. And once they have them up and running, we'll enter them into our database so that we have it on file as to who's got cameras and where the cameras are situated, so that throughout our investigations of residential burglaries in particular, we have resources, people we can tap into. Be very public about that so that the community knows we have that program, and that in and of itself serves as a deterrent. And then it kind of inspires homeowners to be a little bit more vigilant about what's going on.
You mentioned earlier, talking about your background, that you started as a volunteer or a cadet. What programs do they have here in the city? Do they have similar programs for volunteerism? And also, I noticed at the International Barbecue this last weekend, I think they were doing the fingerprinting, or they have
Correct.
Some kind of a volunteer program that helps out there. So talk about the programs.
Great. We have a very active volunteer program in our police department. It has two components to it. One is the Police Explorer program, which are generally high school age kids who might have an interest in law enforcement. They can come in, volunteer, get some exposure, and look for opportunities down the road. And then we have a citizen volunteer program, which you just need to be a resident and need to be 18 years old or older to qualify. And we keep them very busy. They assist us with our DUI checkpoints, community events like the International Barbecue. They offer child fingerprinting. We have them like citizens on patrol. We will put them in a car and we'll have them just drive through neighborhoods and be eyes and ears for us, not taking any law enforcement action, of course, but just being extra witnesses. We have them hand out leaflets when we want to pass on crime prevention tips to certain neighborhoods. Anything we need around the office, they'll volunteer to do. So it's a very interactive group and a very engaged group, and we're always looking to expand those numbers.
Perfect.
Good. Well, I know you've had other proactive sort of programs, and over the course of the years, my kids have all gone through Milpitas schools. You interact with DARE and the officers, and I think DARE may be a program that was done in the past and has transitioned a little bit. But the kids, all the kids in our schools have gotten to know the officers in the force, and I'll run into them on the streets and recognize them, and they're part of the community.
Correct.
So what sort of programs do you have like that currently that are proactive and working with our youth?
Okay, well, we don't have the DARE program any longer, but we do have school resource officers. So we have one officer that's assigned to the high school in particular, and his role is simply to provide whatever level of police service may be necessary to the school real time during the day, and to also be a resource for the kids, interact with the kids. It's great for us that to the extent that we have crime committed by youth, generally that officer is the one we go to because he kind of knows the names and the faces and kind of points us in the right direction. So that's a program we intend to continue.
You're a fairly new chief. I mean, you're not new to the city,
Fairly new.
A year, 2 years, I want to say? Or?
It'll be 2 years in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you have some goals and objectives for your department. You want to share those?
Yeah, so I think right now, as across the region, we start to realize an upward trend in crime, not specific to Milpitas, but just in the region. My goal is to keep us whole, to keep us safe, to make sure that we are on the lower end of that rise relative to the communities around us. We're right up against San Jose. It's a city of 1 million people. At the moment, San Jose has staffing issues with their police force, and that has residual effects across the region. Not blaming them for crime by any means, but they're kind of our big brother to the south. So we have to be prepared to sort of deal with some of those impacts. And I want to be able to keep our force strong. Adding staff that the council graciously gave us for this coming fiscal year is going to be huge for us, but I need to keep them trained, and they need to constantly be aware of where we need to allocate the resources. Like for this year, for example, I've moved a couple of extra bodies into officers into our investigations section because certain types of crime have increased, and so I want a quick response to those crimes to try to make those cases. We're starting to beef up our traffic unit because we have a lot more traffic coming into town, so I want to be able to keep ahead of accident stats. And so far we're doing well. Our accidents have not increased much, so we're ahead of it, and that's my goal, is to keep us ahead of it. Once we're stable, then we can start to sort of reevaluate some of the more outreach programs that we might have gone by the wayside in years past.
Okay. Well, let's put on the screen a phone number. If anybody's interested in volunteering at a citizen level
Yes.
or whatever, you want to supply that?
I do. I have a number. It is, I didn't write it down. Oh, I know it. Good. I good thing I know it by memory.
Okay.
It's 408-586-2529. 408-586-2529. And speak with Officer Mitchell Timko,
Okay.
and he will point you in the right direction.
Perfect.
Terrific. Well, Chief, it's been a pleasure to have you with us here and just share with our viewers what makes Milpitas a great and safe community. We want to also thank you for your years of service here in Milpitas, the longevity and the commitment that you've personally made to our community.
It's been a privilege. It's been an absolute privilege. I appreciate that.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're the stronger than we look type, the braver than you think type, the type that knows the time will come when we put type 1 behind us. We're the progress is inevitable type, the hopeful for a cure type, the type that will stop at nothing until type 1 becomes type none.
Through the years, trends and styles may come and go, but the important things remain the same. Generation after generation, consistently there, creating moments and memories to last a lifetime. Like a true friend, the national parks have always been there for you, and now you can be there for them. Support the National Park Foundation and help protect America's treasured places.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Valley Homes on TV. I'm the Heart Giordano.
Todd Flesner here alongside you.
Our famous loan broker. So the market's gone crazy again. There's an article, San Jose Mercury, just a couple days ago. Home prices hit a milestone. So the housing in Bay Area is selling at levels not seen before the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009. Median price, $833,000. That's in San Mateo County, so that's a little different than Santa Clara County.
But that is true. The overall home prices have rebounded to the levels that they were at their height, prior to the recessionary period, and in some instances they've gone beyond that level.
So let me ask you and talk to you about buyers that are coming in the loop. There's another article here that talked about saving habits in the housing market, and it says Americans are saving less than they were coming out of the recession, which puts them in a precarious spot when it comes to affording a home. Are you finding that with some of the buyers that you're working with, not having enough savings quite enough for the down payment?
Well, everybody's different, and their circumstances are different. That is one of the challenges for folks getting into the housing market here in the Bay Area. The amount of money you have to have when home prices are, $800,000 or whatever for a down payment. Now, fortunately, we've had more lower down payment programs coming back into the market. So,
how do those work?
Well, there are several different ways you can actually structure a lower down payment. FHA loans provide an option for that. You can use as little as 3.5% down with an FHA loan program. That'll get you a loan amount up to $625,500. You can use what we call a piggyback loan, where we have a first and second mortgage together, and we can do that with as little as 10% down, up to loan amounts of $750,000. So that gets you up around $8.25, $850 price point with 10% down.
And that will work, that pricing for Milpitas?
It will.
Terrific.
And then we also have I have a loan product as a mortgage insurance payment that's lender paid, that's tax advantaged, that I utilize as well. So,
and I just referred you a VA buyer.
Yes, exactly.
You do VA financing.
I do VA financing, and the VA program actually will enable you to buy with zero down payment, up to 100% financing if you are qualified for the VA. So if you've served in the military, and have been honorably discharged or actually active service as well, you can potentially qualify for a VA loan. And here in the Bay Area, the VA eligibility level is up to $1 million.
Wow.
And
I
so,
didn't know that. That's nice.
so
That's a hidden secret.
it is. And so, that's a viable alternative for folks that we might look at as well.
Okay, terrific. Well, you want to see some numbers?
Yeah, let's see
Okay.
how the market's doing.
See how the
here.
market's doing. Let's look at what April 2013 was doing for the single-family homes. It was at $686,000 for average price, and median price was $650,000. Now, there's been a small bump up, though. April 2014 shows only $695,000 for an average price and $655,000 for a median price. If you remember how those numbers with the multiple listing service are factored in, they'll take the high end, the low end, and it can change dramatically. But over the course of about a year's time, I've seen about $50,000 to $100,000 increase in pricing, I'd say. So if folks were thinking about selling a year ago, add on minimum $50,000, if not close to $100,000 onto their profit base. So.
And are you still seeing multiple offers as the norm?
Yes, I've got a couple open houses this weekend, so I'll check those and we'll see where they're at in a condominium. But generally, yes, definitely multiple offers within the first 7-8 days. If you price the property according to market value, not some agents will underprice a property, draw in a lot of offers, but you're still going to get to the same place in terms of the price point in the market.
Right. And that's I'm experiencing that with buyers I'm working with as well. Is that it's a competitive situation, and so we'll take a look at the numbers, but we also might talk about some tips for folks to help ensure that they have a better chance to get into contract.
Okay. Well, let's. What continues to amaze me is the condominium market. Even though we have a plethora of additional new building here in Milpitas, but these are resales. These are not brand new construction. This is resale. April 2013, for condo townhomes in Milpitas, we had an average price of $467,000, and that has now changed to $522,000 as of April 2014. And the change went from $440,000 median price to $521 median price within a year's time. So. Again, affordability, I think, is the key word right there for and there's some nice condominiums that even though you don't have a yard, you have low maintenance, you have a homeowners association that takes care of all the surrounding area, the streets, the landscaping, the pool, whatever. So they pay, you pay for that, and the inside of the condominiums are very nice, almost like a single-family home. So.
Well, and there are different sort of lifestyles for different sort of folks. Some people don't want to have all the maintenance, and perhaps they travel or they have work schedules that don't allow them, to be able to do
absolutely
the yard on a regular basis, or some of the other things that come with a single family home.
And I think with the younger generation, the Gen Y or whatever they call them, Gen X, but the 20 and 30-year-olds kind of like that lifestyle. They don't want to have the yard and have to maintain that. So
well, there are options for everybody. That's for sure.
Yeah, there is.
So and we talked about folks being able to get into properties and the competitive nature of things right now.
Well, of course, the key, Todd, first, and that's part of your business, is that pre-qualification process where they actually get pre-approved.
Exactly.
You've evaluated their FICO scores, their employment history, verified their down payment.
Exactly.
So they come ready to purchase almost as a cash buyer would purchase.
Exactly. And I take the step of actually having their loan package underwritten and pre-approved by an underwriter in advance, and we're able then to close as quickly as 15 days in some instances.
That is a deal breaker. That's a great asset for a buyer to have out there shopping too, to have that seller have a fast close.
Well, and it helps folks to be able to compete against those all-cash offers. And in some instances, it actually is preferred because they know that buyer has been fully vetted and approved for financing, where sometimes, the cash might be a little bit mysterious until it actually shows up there.
Or it could be, foreign cash that's
Well,
not been verified,
Yeah, well,
actually.
exactly. And so, some of my buyers have been very successful using that program.
Terrific. Well, and I know, and congratulations. I know you've changed offices recently.
I'm
so-
with Opus Mortgage Advisors now.
Yeah, great reputation. And
Great firm, great rates, and access to a wide variety of different products that I'm able to help folks out with.
Speaking of rates, what are the rates at?
Well, we've seen actually rates dip here as we've come into the warmer months, which is a little bit of a surprise. As we were entering 2014, we were predicting that we would see rates increase, and we might be up around the 5% range,
right.
as we moved into the summer months and later. Well, there's some uncertainty in the world, Ukraine and Russia, and also looking at foreign markets and what foreign markets are able to offer for credit alternatives, like in Greece or Italy with their bonds are paying in comparison to what U.S. bonds are paying. And that's helped to keep interest rates low. So we're in the low 4s right now, 4 1/8, 4 1/4
That's
for a
terrific.
conforming loan, conforming jumbo about 4 3/8 with no points. And again, that varies a little bit on a daily basis and dependent upon credit score and down payment. But the rates right now are as good as they've been all year long. So, even with prices coming up, it helps to keep things a little bit more affordable for folks.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much for that update on the lending end, and we'll get back with folks in 30 days from now and give you another market update for the month of May. And
Yeah, it's been great, and
It's been good.
And enjoy folks tuning in to join us,
And
keep track of what's happening
where
here in
can folks
Milpitas.
reach you if they have any questions?
Phone number is 408-921-0669, or it's T Flesner at opusadvisors.com. OPESADVIOSORS.
And you can send me an email if you have any questions about the show or anything you want to discuss at giordanodj@aol.com. So we will see you folks in a couple weeks. Thanks for watching Valley Homes on TV.